round of applause for everybody.
Well, thank you guys for having me come out. It's really honored fallen. What we're here to do. It's not Veterans Day. It's nothing about us. It's about people who sacrificed their life, fought the wars, and do all this other stuff so we can be here today. So, Caleb and all of us, and then asked to share our testimony. I think it's extremely important. Just like it says in Revelations, that we will conquer over him through the power or the blood of the Lamb and the power of our testimony. So it is extremely important that we share what God is doing in our life, where we were with Christ, or where we were without Christ, and what is he doing now. So, like this. So my name is Dennis Price. I served about 17 years in the Marine Corps, all through various different special operations. So Force Recon, Scout Sniper, Ranger. Just stood up the very first Mars Soccer 13 like 5 months ago. And I say that because at one point in my life, those titles, all those little badges meant so much to me. It was because I put worldly pleasure in all the wrong places. I grew up a small town, 1,000 people in the mountains of western Pennsylvania, and grew up in the church just like most people, go to church every Sunday. Saw September 11th happen, and I want to do something about it. Right when I graduated high school, a week later I joined the Marine Corps. 6 months later after that, I was a machine gunner in Iraq. I had full authority every day to judge, jury, and executioner. And at 18 years old, having that power, it weighs a lot on me. It weighed a lot on me and my platoon. So throughout my time over there, about 17 years ago, we got blown up about 6 times, and like I said, it's crazy. It's a razor's edge of good and evil every day, especially in combat. And it's crazy, the unsaid spoken thing when everyone falls off the deep end. And there's no meeting, there's no gathering immediately like that. Everyone was all on board after the third time we were blown up, and it was a very dark time. So that third time was very specific in my life because we were in Iraq. We were heading out from Fallujah to Ramadi. That trip thousands of times before that, in a convoy operation. And I said I was a machine gunner on top. And we're coming back from Fallujah to Ramadi. And at this point now, we just approached Ramadi. It's off to my left. And we were about to go under a bridge, underpassage, and SOPs, standard operating procedures say the lead Vic goes under the passage, switches lanes, so that if someone's up there on top, they don't drop a grenade down the gunner's hatch and blow up everyone. Immediately, when you clear the underpassage, the machine gunner immediately flips backwards and prosecutes the target from up there. You go under the underpassage. The first vehicle does what he's supposed to. The second vehicle, I believe, was the same thing. And the third vehicle, so there's a saying in the military that says he places, he kills. He did not do that, and he blew up. He ran over an IED, blew up, decimated the first vehicle. Same exact time, rocket flies up between me and the vehicle in front of me, and it launches a massive IED initiated ambush. And what sparked the downfall of a dark time of my life. That being trapped on the X, small arms fire coming from the city, trying to prosecute all those targets, trying to see what's going on, and immediately comms went down. We didn't know what was going on with that vehicle. No one had communication with any other vehicle. What seemed to be hours and hours on the objective, from getting small arms fire in the ambush to trying to break free and head out to wait the EMP to come and clear the area, felt like a lifetime. And in that lifetime right there, it sparked and ignited a fire in me that eventually got so hot to a temperature I could not control it. Fast forward, I started going back-to-back deployments. I immediately hopped on the next deployment, next one, and in between then, I would go to different, it was selections for special operations, different special operations schools, jump school, dive school, free fall, sniper, special forces sniper, a multitude of others. As I would go to combat, a lot of us were convinced in the military, there's no place for God in combat. And we get convinced that at such a young age, and you see it in war movies, you see it, and you get preached in boot camp and all through there. All to find that is not true at all. From the stories of Gideon, from the stories of David, and the multitudes of others, that is not true. So as I kept deploying, I would push God out of my life. He was always there, but I would push him out, said there's no place for God in war, go do my thing, come back, allow him to come back into my life, and I would try to go back to church, and then in between those schools, I'd be praying, and I'd be like, please God, if you only let me pass this sniper claw, I will blah, 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 blah. And I would start trying to wager with God of my relationship with him, and again, I would then deploy again, push him back out of my life. And at first, it seemed like it worked. And I was at a cruising altitude of what I thought was normal, which was, after 17 years and 13 deployments in both the Marine Corps Special Operations and then in the private sector, getting hired on as a sniper, I led and burnt down a path that I was out of control. What we know, when Jesus talks to the Samaritan woman, and she asks him how I can have some of that eternal water so I will not quench anymore. I had a God-shaped hole in my heart. I had a God-shaped hole in my soul. And I was trying to fill it with everything possible from this earth. And just to find out it was all the wrong thing. It was just, I've never done drugs or cocaine or anything, but it was just like that. Just a bump of life, and I would feel alive again. Just to, a few days later, crash, and I spiraled out into alcohol, women, to adrenaline junkie, to doing horrible things and leading that dark path, and then going and doing it again. And I thought, and I convinced myself, because I would keep going back to the church when I was back home, that, man, I'm still living. When I'm back and I'm going to all these schools, I'm placing the top of my class. God must want me to be his war vessel. It would only make sense. Back-to-back deployments, I'm living, I'm doing very successful. I had God on my side, what I thought, and I kept doing this for about 15 years or so at a very unsustainable rapid rate. And extremely toxic and everything. Eventually, as I keep doing this, me and my wife have our fourth daughter, and my fourth daughter's born. She's born with two rare diseases: Becker-Wiedemann syndrome and hyperinsulinism. When she was born, she immediately went into the NICU and then got life flighted from Alabama to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, 9 states away. And her and my wife left. I stayed with 3 kids on active duty, and I stayed that way for 6 months, trying to work active duty, 3 kids, while my wife was at a hospital, Children's Hospital, with my newborn, struggling to live. She had about 20 doctors. She was hooked up with everything that possibly could to save her life, and multiple things would happen each day where she struggled. Going through all that, as a Christian, we call it the enemy, the common enemy, the devil and his minions. I allowed him to get in my head. A whisper came to my head and said, the reason why your daughter was born was because you dedicated your life to combat, because you dedicated your life to killing people, that this is because of you. She's, your family is better off without you. She's suffering in a hospital right now, fighting to live, because you lived such a dark, horrible life of dedicated to killing people and being an enemy, or destroying the enemy, that this is a result of what you did. And it sounds ridiculous now up here saying it in a conscious mind to all of you and reasonable thoughts, but I'm telling you, when you have that voice in your head, it turns everything else to white noise. It's like a jammer on a radio. You could be sitting here and you could be telling me reasons why I should be living right now and all this other stuff. Your signal was not being received at all. That white noise eventually got so loud I wasn't able to hear anything. So one night, things were getting really bad in my garage. I was just getting my head out. That voice it turned from a whisper to a scream. I couldn't hear anything. Anything outside was just white noise, and it's all static. And I was biking in my garage, and I was coming bike, and I was getting more amped up, more worked up. Like I said, this is because of you. Your family's better off without you. Eventually, the doctors handed me a $1.2 million medical bill. And that crushed my life. I was like, how am I supposed to do this? And then eventually the doctor came and said, hey, there's only two places you can live in the United States. Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and a hospital outside of Houston. And that is it. And I was like, well, there's no military bases there. So what can I do? I went to the Marine Corps, was like 15 years in. I was like, hey, I want to file for early retirement. And they wouldn't give me a 9-month waiver. So I got cut out right at like 15 years active duty. Left everything, and got handed a $1.2 million bill. But I'm still down in Alabama trying to figure out what's going on. I'm biking, I'm getting more worked up. Like I said, that voice is even more now. You have a $1.2 million bill. What are you going to do? You don't have any other skills of military training to do outside of combat. You can't, like, your family is only suffering because of you. They will be better off without you. If you guys don't know, SGOI, if a soldier dies or anything like that, your family gets $400 / the kicker is $500,000. That voice came in my head again. If you kill yourself right now, your family would get $500,000, and they're better off without you, and they're only suffering because of you. Like I said, standing up here and telling you guys this, it doesn't sound like it makes conscious thought and reason, but when that voice, when that noise gets so turned up, it's the only thing that can, no other reason can come through. So, about an hour or two, biking in my garage, getting more heated, getting more worked up. And a thought comes to my head, it's like, hey, when the military tells you if you're struggling, if you truly are struggling, call someone, reach out, and maybe they'll help you. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna call my bud, who's one of my peers, and I was like, I don't want to make it sound like this is a false call. So like, I need help. I need this guy to tell me, give me one good reason why I shouldn't go my brains out right now. And we hear all the time we lose 22 veterans a day. That number's real. And some people say it's a lot higher, but I'm telling you, like, whenever that white noise gets turned up so loud, nothing else can get through that guy. So I'm calling my friend, I'm reaching out. I'm like, just give me one reason why my other 3 children sleeping in the room right next to me. Why I should not do this. Give me one reason why I should go up there right now. He didn't pick up. I called him again, he didn't pick up. He was out traveling, I didn't know this later. I was like, Roger, God, that's it. Like, loud and clear. This is all she wrote. So about 3-4 hours go by now, I'm staring at my gun and getting more worked up. I was like, hey, I attempted, I reached out, this is it. You know, nothing else is going through. So I walk over, I grab the gun. As I put it to my head, a random statistic happens.